Hey, what's good, YouTube? So we got another video with Jeffrey Dahmer's. Like, damn, there's a whole bunch of videos with Jeffrey, bro. Like this man, even after this man is dead, this nigga is still getting videos. He's still getting all the fame. Like it's a video from Watch Mojo. So they already released like four different videos about him, and this just came out like yesterday. So, god damn. I think this is the most famous killer. Like seriously, no one's mentioning about Ted Bundy, Ed Gein, or freaking John Wayne Gacy, freaking Robert Pickerton. You know, there's a bunch of killers that was in the that was in the late 1900s. So, but they're just on this man. But Jeffrey is I ain't gonna lie, he is an interesting killer. There's more to them than just killing people. So I guess that's what makes him interesting. So this is the top 10 reveals in the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. So I never heard the tapes, um, but I know it's gonna be chilling. So let's just get into the video.
There's no person I've ever known of that was as lonely a human being as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reveals in Conversations with a Killer, the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes.
Dahmer had a rare opportunity, a rare window in time where people were vanishing in the community, but no one knew why.
For this list, we're looking at the most interesting and surprising revelations from Netflix's latest Dahmer docuseries. What reveal shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Jeffrey Dahmer was Wendy Patricus's first job. Conversations with a Killer, the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes, features previously unreleased audio recordings with hours of Dahmer speaking with one of his attorneys, Wendy Patricus.
I was a young lawyer at the time. So in my 20s, I just moved to Milwaukee and a woman living alone, and I didn't know a lot of people.
Of any seasoned professional, let alone a rookie.
I received death threats from a number of different sources. There was really only one time that I felt like some of the threats became real.
Number 9. Dahmer's first 2 murders were unintentional, the body and the remains. And though he didn't want to kill again, Dahmer would commit another unplanned murder 9 years later. After a night of drinking with Stephen Twomey, Dahmer convinced his fellow bar patron to accompany him to Milwaukee's Ambassador Hotel, where Dahmer became blackout drunk.
You totally blacked out.
Yeah.
You had no idea that you had done anything?
No, not until I woke up in the morning. Couldn't believe it.
Number 7.
Like
Professionals didn't agree on Dahmer's sanity. In January 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer pleaded guilty, but insane.
We're trying to win an insanity defense. This was where he lost control. We're trying to show that, he didn't have that rational thought anymore.
Since he had already confessed, an insanity defense was the way his team of attorneys decided to go. But was Dahmer insane? A number of expert witnesses spoke on behalf of the prosecution, the defense, and independently for the court.
That was a bizarre delusion that he thought that he could take the skulls and the bones of victims and create a power center in which he would be able to get special powers.
And though the doctors had similar findings on other aspects of Dahmer, they did not agree on whether he was sane while committing the murders or not. Dr. Fred Berlin, for the defense, evaluated Dahmer and diagnosed him with necrophilia and believed he was in fact insane. However, Dr. Park Dietz, for the prosecution, believed him to be sane based on his tactics for disposal and covering his tracks.
He took steps for every single one of the charged homicides to make sure that he wouldn't get caught.
Number 6.
He
The
knew all
Wrong
along.
Suspect. In the docuseries, Jeff Connor recalls the last night he saw his friend Anthony "Tony" Sears.
Tony Sears was about 23 or 24. Tony Sears was a model. He was very attractive. And he was always immaculately dressed.
He'd gone out to La Cage nightclub, where Sears seemingly met Jeffrey Dahmer. At the end of the night, Connor dropped the two off near Dahmer's home. As the last known person to see him alive, Connor was questioned by Tony Sears' family, friends, and eventually the police.
One of the things that I was forced to do during the investigation was go with police officers to the different bars to see if I could recognize who this blonde mystery person was.
While no charges were filed, the accusations led Jeff Connor to leave Milwaukee. He later testified at Dahmer's trial. Sadly, he still feels some guilt about his friend's tragic death.
I wish I could take it all back and make the evening end a different way.
Number 5, Dr. Norman Goldfarb's recommendation. One of the most upsetting things about the Jeffrey Dahmer case is that he could have been caught on several occasions. After his arrest in 1988, he spoke to psychologist Dr. Norman Goldfarb.
While he was awaiting sentencing, I said, well, I would just do a brief evaluation to get a sense of the status of what we were working with.
In his evaluation, Dr. Goldfarb stated that he was likely to re-offend. However, the judge disregarded the doctor's warning and gave Dahmer a rather lenient sentence.
The judge, in the end, listened to Jeffrey's speech, which was quite moving. He basically, in a nutshell, said, oh, this is terrible. I'm sorry. It's never going to happen again.
In January 1989, he was convicted of enticing a child for immoral purposes and second-degree sexual assault. But it wasn't until May that he was sentenced to 5 years probation. He also received 1 year in the House of Correction where he was allowed work release.
Work release in our state is a program where you can work during the day, the regular work hours, and then you're in the county jail while you're not working. And Jeffrey Dahmer was employed at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory.
That's crazy that they did that for him. When he was a sex offender.
Victim, Anthony Sears. Number 4, connection to John Wayne Gacy. While John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer never met, the two serial killers knew of each other since their crimes were constantly being compared in the media.
What do I think of Jeffrey Dahmer? I don't know the man personally, but I'll tell you this, that's a good example as to why insanity doesn't belong in the courtroom. Because if Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't meet the requirements for insanity, then I'd like hell to run into the guy that does.
However, they did have one strange connection. In the docuseries, Minister Roy Ratcliffe recounts when he baptized Dahmer on May 10th, 1994. That same day, over in Illinois, Gacy, who was convicted of killing over 33 young men, was executed by lethal injection.
On the day of his baptism, John Wayne Gacy was executed that same day.
Whether there's some mystical reason why these two things happened on the day of a partial solar eclipse has never been explained.
That's really
Some
strange.
try to read into that, well, there's some kind of a mystical meaning behind all this.
Number 3, Dahmer's relationship with Tony Hughes. While the majority of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims only knew him for a short time, Tony Hughes reportedly had a longer relationship with him prior to his death in May 1991.
Tony and Jeff had relations. Tony told me so.
A former friend of Hughes, Michael Ross, confirms their history in the docuseries. An entire episode of Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story is dedicated to Hughes, who was deaf and had a speech impairment, including his time spent with Dahmer.
You deaf?
In his interviews, Dahmer doesn't go into detail about his relations with Hughes. However, he does describe how this victim was also one of his experiments.
I wanted to see if I could think of a way to keep him with me without actually, killing him.
Number 2. Dahmer asked to be moved to general population. When Jeffrey Dahmer began serving his multiple consecutive life sentences at Columbia Correctional Institution, he was put into a solitary cell to protect him from other prisoners.
So he was placed in a single cell, not in a bullpen.
He told me. What do I have to look forward to?
After a year, Dahmer requested to be put into the general population among fellow inmates. Patrick has tried to persuade him to stay in solitary, but he told her he needed some, quote, mental stimulation.
He just said, please don't do this. You're not gonna make it.
Going into Gen Pop effectively put him at risk. In one day, an inmate did attack him in the neck with a razor. He survived that incident, but would later succumb to head trauma caused by Christopher Scarver in November 1994.
He took the barbell from the exercise room and bludgeoned Dahmer over the head with that weapon.
The information I received from the prison was he did not resist the attack.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel
Yeah, he
and ring
didn't
the bell
resist.
to get notified
I guess he
about
was
our
ready to
latest
die.
videos. You have the option to be notified for
He did say he
occasional
wanted to be
videos
on the
or all
death
of them.
chair.
If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. He tried to resist his compulsions for years. At one point, he stole a store mannequin as a replacement for a human companion.
A faceless mannequin from a department store didn't cut it for him.
These other clips from Watch
God,
Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified.
Damn. So yeah, I forgot the tapes came out with Jeffrey Dahmer's yesterday. So I was actually going to watch that. But it's just really hard to believe that he's still talked about. Like, I mean, every killer is talked about, but like they're literally talking about, like, you know, his teenage years, his when he was a kid. They're just exploring his life. Like like I never seen like people into into a killer's life that much. Like, I don't think I ever seen like usually they'll just start like, you know, this is the guy that started out in the workplace or something like that. You know, they would never go back to like to their high schools, or when they were in high school, or when they was a kid. So, you know, stuff like this always happens in adulthood. But for Jeffrey, this happened to him when he was a kid. So, damn, it just leads up. That's what makes it so interesting, and that's why there's a series. So, damn. Even when this nigga's dead, he's still getting recognition. And I do feel bad when the dude dropped off Jeffrey Dahmer and his friend off. Damn. I don't know how he feels. Damn, it sounds like a setup at the same time, but nothing you can do to change about that. And I wonder how, and that's another thing I want to know about the attorney, like how she felt about Dahmer, like, and that was her first ever case. Like, you can't imagine that. Like, this is your first case. Your case is with a serial killer that killed 17 people, and he also ate some of his victims. You know, you wouldn't know what to do. So I don't know how I don't know. You know, it already said that she was a mother, a therapist, and something like that. You know, helping him out. But you know, you would have to pretend. You would literally have to pretend that this is a normal guy, that I'm just here to help. But I know that deep down that she was like, that she just had ill thoughts and ill feelings about him. I know she did. I can't imagine that feeling, just sitting next to him. I wouldn't even feel safe. But, you know, after a while, you know, he knows what he did, so I can see how she felt safe around him. But damn, it's eerie things, man. But this is a good video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good morning.